The Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has been forced to dismiss two of his two aides in what is seen as something fueling speculation about the deepening rifts between Kenya Kwanza and rather within Kenya Kwanza administration. This is a story that you will allow me to quote verbatim what has been reported before we draw some interesting political interpretations behind the scene. On Tuesday, the Deputy Director of Public Communications, Martha Miano, and Personal Assistant Francis Ngodho Maina were shown the door. Both are set to leave in October. The official reason cited for the dismissal, according to the sources, is incompetence, though insiders hint at a possible more complex situations. Some are being labeled of allegations have surfaced that the duo's loyalty to President William Ruto may have played a role in the ousting, raising eyebrows among the political observers. The two that have been kicked out are believed to be close allies of President William Ruto. Let me pause there for a minute and say something. And it is believed that the fellows that have been kicked out are actually close allies of William Ruto. But I wanted to say this. I once analyzed and I told you, my viewers here, that what is happening is that in this government, there is a zebra arrangement everywhere. For example, in ministries, if the minister is not a trusted ally of the president, then the PS is president's man. But in most instances, the president is in close contact with the PS, the engine behind every ministry. So if Rigathi's camp is alluding to the fact that some of his aides are owing some loyalty to the president, then that is not something I can doubt. Now, this development comes after weeks that emerged that Rigathi's office was under high intelligence. In that letter, the DP referenced to the local agreement form, stating that government may at any time determine the engagement of the person engaged by giving him or her 2 months notice in writing, paying him or her 2 months salary in the notice. So they have been given exit notice, resignation notice, and that by 20th of October, they should vacate their positions. This is not casual, and guys, it doesn't just happen that way. I'm paying attention to, if you look at the profile of those who have been shown the door, one is Deputy Director of Public Communications. Deputy. So you need to ask, is that deputy sabotaging his boss? And the deputy is a close ally of the president, is being blamed to be a close ally of the president. How about the head? Because this is, how about the Director of Public Communications? There is director and there is the deputy. So Rigathi are already profiling the deputy as a close ally of the president. And look at, apart from him being deputy, that tells you that even between the deputy and the director, there is a problem. Why not the director? Maybe. So if it is competence, then it would have probably, all of them would have vanished, both the deputy and the director. The second person, and the other angle I want you to look at it, is public communications. Deputy Director Public Communications. Is there a problem with Rigathi Gachagua's public communications? Is there a problem? And you will answer those questions. I want you to think along those lines. Number 2, personal assistant. Personal assistant is his most trusted person. This is the person that carries Gachagua's handbag and will know where and when Gachagua is anywhere. So these are very closest people, are very closest fellows to the Deputy President, Rigathi Gachagua. And interestingly, they all come from Mount Kenya. So you see how politics sometimes is very, how politics is sometimes very interesting. Now, there are some four factors that played out during this, just around this information, around this news of this firing. And probably 3 or 4, I think there are 4. Do you remember at the height of Gen Z demonstration, 3 of Rigathi Gachagua's allies were actually being interrogated by NIS, by the DCI. And they were being interrogated after being accused of the fellows that might have been used by Rigathi's office to support the Gen Z protest. So it is not something new. It is not something very new. No, it's not something very new because this is an information that has been here. And if the sacking is happening at this critical time, first, using elimination method, is it about incompetence? No. These positions of political aides, personal assistants, deputy director of communications, those positions are normally just given on patronage and, on favorism because I know you. For example, a personal assistant is someone you truly trust. Mostly they're normally relatives, but many times they normally pick relatives. People they really trust. Those are not people that are subjected to interviews. They just bring someone around you as a personal assistant. So, looking at incompetence, no. Now, looking at internal conflicts, it is possible, but not largely, because the deputy is not held there. Looking at the minimum retirement requirements that President announced, all these fellows are below 61. Okay? So what does that leave you with? It leaves you purely that this rearrangement is a political move, is politically motivated. So the one factor I was talking about is NIS spying on some aides of the Deputy President, Rigathi Gachagua, to have been behind it. And Rigathi is not the first time. Rigathi had complained even in the past, saying that the intelligence have been unleashed to tarnish his name. He's on record saying that. So that is the other thing. The second issue is this story that leaked. There is a story that leaked. The UDA wrangle story. Remember, after Joe Halende went and staged some coup d'etat, some coup in UDA party to remove Malala, I've always believed Malala could have been wrong. But the ruling party, using goonism to instigate a party change, was they stoop low. It was, I think it was the worst they would do. If you ask me, that was the worst they would do. So, UDA party wrangles was done, and then who is this? And then Marire came and said that they were going to call some press briefing, or rather they were going to call an urgent NEC meeting. Now that meeting was done 5 a.m. on Friday, and according to what was leaked out in the media, is that the Deputy President and Malala went to State House at 5, going to look for the President. They were not able, and the President probably met them, and they said the way Malala was kneeling down and asking for, I don't know, for him to be reinstated, for him to be forgiven. And at that time, things did not work out. And this statement came out clearly that William Ruto, Rigathi Gachagua, was not in the know. Now, this is why I am tying this to public communications and personal assistance. Were they not privy? Did they receive a note that information was laid down clear so that the Deputy President doesn't attend? That's number one. Because that is the possibility that information is relayed, but it was not communicated to the board so that it doesn't attend. Number two, who leaked that information? Because Rigathi Gachagua would not want the media to receive information that he went to beg. on behalf of Malala. So that story came out, and I remember when Malala came out and said he was being knocked out because of his allegiance with the deputy president, and he was blaming Kimani Chungwa and Sasin Berire. So that is the other thing is that UDA angle. The third issue is there was a story about an assassination attempt on one of the aides known as Patrick Gikonyo in July. When Rigathi Gachagua was doing roundtable interview by Kikuyu stations, he said that there was one of his aides who was affected and was nearly killed because that person had been NIS and then was dismissed. And after he was dismissed, the DP's office absorbed him, Rigathi Gachagua absorbed him. Then at one point, he was even getting knocked. So I want to believe investigations have been going on. Now with that story, I can also look at it and say, probably these restructures are also linked to such incidences. Was there a fight between? Is there something? Are there some interests that are crisscrossing? That is the other thing. The other aspect is the chopper incident in Nakuru. When Rigathi left Nakuru, coming Nairobi, he was going to Njoro, there was some chopper incident. Of course, that was over the weekend, but that is a light note. Now, I want to explain the main point, according to what this article is, the writer is saying here, is that those who are being kicked out, they're being kicked out because they are close allies of the president. Now, why would Ruto team spy on Rigathi? That would be seen as very simple, simplistic, but again, that's what I want us to interrogate in this podcast. Before I do that, I want to humbly request to subscribe to our channel, and thank you very much for your support. For the new subscribers in this channel, apart from political analysis, we also do charity programs. So we have not done, I think for July, the last program we did is to help Brenda. She's now back. I think I'll be able, before this, by September, I'll also be able to visit her back. She's now doing well. And this month, we are going to support some elderly women in Kilifi. That will be our project, by the way. That will be the first project outside Nairobi. Yeah, and I would really want us to do granny care. I would really want us to support probably the most vulnerable. Wale wazee sana, they are in their 80s and 70s and 90s, and they will really not get much of that support. So that is the group we are going to support in Kilifi. We'll furnish you the details by that time, probably before the end of the week, so that we can be able to also support the society apart from just the political analysis. 4 reasons why Ruto is spying on Rigathi. Before I even tell you what I think, why do you think? Most predictable reason. The one thing I'm seeing is status wants to outwit Rigathi Gachagua's political maneuvers. Rigathi Gachagua is making a lot of political maneuvers, and you listen to over the weekend, he was telling some MPs, was telling some UD MPs from Mount Kenya that hii election itakuwa ngumu sana. He mentioned something. Of course, you must understand that Rigathi has shown his intent that if he's not going to be Ruto's running mate, then he's going to take his political path, and probably he will take Ruto head on. I think Rigathi is not hiding that. If he's hiding anything, but that one is not hiding. He's making that very clear, and Ruto would really want to know what Rigathi is doing and what is he up to, as much as his political maneuvers are concerned. Number 2, there could be some loyalty shifts just after this cabinet reshuffles. After this cabinet reshuffles, there are some people like Moses Kuria that have not made their way back to cabinet. And probably they're alluding to the fact that they had a bad blood with Rigathi. So there are some people that are also there that maybe Rigathi might have fought for them. So that means that the cabinet is also getting a stand. For example, the ODM team. If the ODM team wants to survive, by the way, they should make friends with Rigathi. So that if they leave and Rigathi is supporting them, Ruto will not feel. Ruto is very insecure with the people around him. And so, so long as he feels you want to challenge him, he will always back down. So there could be loyalty shifts, and that is why he wants to know, is Rigathi meeting with who cabinet members talk to Rigathi, and what not, and what not. Number 2, there could have been, I think one of the concerns that Ruto have is the leaks of the intelligence to Rigathi's side. Rigathi is receiving some intelligence, and he's been talking, leaking some of this in public. When he said he spoke in Mombasa, some people want to link me with the protest. He said that he's been listening to what the people are saying, and he once told the president that the finance bill will not sail. And so there could be those issues of intelligent leaks, and I think lastly, internal sabotage within Rigathi's circles. There will be some infighting, not necessarily dealing with the status, but even within the Rigathi's office, there will be infighting. I've always been wondering, I've always been asking around. People tell me why Rigathi does rarely operates from the Harambee House office. He do operate from Karen most of the time. So ladies and gentlemen, that is my take. Let's meet in the next. Asanteni.